So this is the agenda for the day again. Like I said, we'll have a brief overview of Creator. We'll dive into what can you build on Creator for those of you who are new to the ecosystem. And then we'll talk at length about the AI features in Creator. And then we'll go into the demo part, right? Followed by a Q&A, dedicated Q&A. So Creator has been there for almost 20 years now. In fact, next year, 2026 is when we'll be completing 20 years, right? And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the little story, but I'll just take you through it. So way back in 2006, when inside Zoho, there were a lot of different teams, and the Zoho was growing as a company. They were looking to kind of make application to give gifts to all our employees, right? So there were different employees across, and they would needed to give them gifts for like festivals like Diwali or Christmas and all of that. And getting all the employees' name and address and details on a sheet, on a spreadsheet, was becoming tiresome because the employees were growing, and there was a lot of manual error when you're entering the data in terms of the age or the size and all of that. So our team wanted, in fact, the HR team wanted a application. So they went to the IT team, the central IT team, and asked them to build them an application. And this particular situation was what gave our IT teams this thought that why can't we empower the HR teams to build applications on their own, because it's a fairly straightforward requirement. Why does the IT team always have to be building when they all might have other queues or all of that? So that thought or that situation is what gave birth to Creator. We started as a very simple form builder back then, and today we have evolved as a tightly integrated AI-powered low-code platform. And this has been our journey so far. So our vision since day one has always been this. It is to empower everyone to easily build powerful applications faster, right? Everyone meaning it can be anybody who has a proper technical expertise. It can be somebody who is not from the technical background but has a logic, who has the understanding of how they want to go with an application easily, because it shouldn't be that difficult, right? It shouldn't be always a learning curve. Not everything has to be just super difficult for it to achieve. So if we can do it in an easier way, why not? And that's always been our core value. Powerful because yes, just because you're going to drag and drop a few things doesn't mean the system cannot be powerful or cannot scale. We understand that in the long run, a lot of businesses want to grow. They might want to do more. So we ensure that the systems that they build are robust and powerful and faster, because time is of crucial value, right? Especially in today's world, it is pretty important that we have to deliver things then and there. So we try and make it as fast as possible without compromising on the quality or the output of what you're able to get. So this has been our vision, and this is pretty much what Creator is all about, right? It's based on the low-code approach of application development, that the application development is done through a visual approach, right? So you drag and drop the fields, and on the right side, what you see is the code that's being generated in the backend, right? Which we don't have to know as a user if you're just working on the application interface, right? So minimal coding, easy to use interface, and purely logic driven is what Creator or low code is all about. And these are some of our customers across the globe, right? The reason for me to put this slide here is to show you the kind of versatility Creator as a platform offers. It can be any industry, it can be manufacturing, it can be retail, right? It can be media, banking, aviation. Like you can see all the different names that's going on here, right? Any industry, and no matter what's the extent of the use case as well, right? It can be something as massive as an ERP or a core system like an HRMS, or it could be something very simple but also crucial for the company like an attendance tracker or a visitor management. And here, all the companies that you see, they vary in terms of not just their industries, but also in terms of the use case that they're built on Creator. So just to show you the kind of versatility and the possibilities that can be built on Creator, right? So what exactly can you build? I've spoken about it's easy to use. I've spoken about it. There are multiple industries and different use cases. What exactly can you build? These are the 4 things that we would like for everyone to understand on what exactly can you build on Creator. So the first one is your internal tools, followed by portals. Then you have your core systems, and then you have your extending systems. So internal tools is pretty straightforward, right? What are internal tools? Anything that is required within your organization, right? It could be anything for which you're currently using your paper or spreadsheets, right? It could be some simple automation. It could be, anything like some tracking system, maybe an attendance management system. For all of that, you can have your internal tools built on Creator. Here, it's a fairly easy and simple vacation request dashboard that we have, right? Like you can see, there are different panels that gives you an overview or 360-degree overview of, what exactly is happening within the organization. The like approved requests, the total number of requests, the rejected requests, right? A calendar as such, and also people specific vacation dates as well. So it gives you a proper holistic view of what exactly is happening in the vacation department of your particular organization, right? So any kind of such internal tools you can build. The next one would be your the portals, right? So portals would be specifically for your external users. Like let's say you already have a software in place, but you need your vendors or clients or distributors or any third party people or people who are not the core team of your particular process to access the application. They can be a part of your portal users, right? So you can build them a standalone portal. You can customize it to your particular brand image, right? You can give the users and they can log in with their own credentials and all of that. So it gives them a very personalized approach. It also kind of integrates with your whole brand. It's on brand, right? And portals also come with built-in security mechanisms. So once it's set up, the users can just sign up and then view into their application, and they can access with whatever part of application you have given access to, right? So here we have a patient portal, right? So it's predominantly your dashboard that you have created on Creator, but because you're giving them access via portal user, number one, it is also because an external user, you're limiting the amount of access they have to your application, and you're also giving them a very seamless experience in terms of the sign up and the look and feel of it. So this is an example of a patient portal that we have built on Creator, right? The next one would be your core systems. Your core systems are anything that is your mission critical systems, such as your ERPs, your custom CRMs, anything that is fundamental to your business operation, right? So traditionally, these platforms are built on rigid systems, right? And it might take months to customize. Like when I say months, it's just longer than just 6 or 8 months, right? And it might require a lot of IT resources or a lot of resource in general in terms of bandwidth, in terms of skill set, in terms of all of that, right? But with Zoho Creator, that kind of changes, right? You can take an ERP or a complex CRM or anything that is very niche, specific to your process, and you can build on with the low-code capabilities that the platform provides, right? So number one, it becomes faster than your general time that's taken. And number two is that you will be able to get feedback, real-time feedback from people who are actually going to be using the systems, right? So it kind of bridges the gap between your IT teams and business teams. So then it's easier, right? You don't build an application entirely and in the end you're waiting for a feedback. It kind of goes like back and forth. You can see how it is. They can give you the feedback and all of that. So the whole process becomes much easier. And with all the workflows, with the integrations with Zoho Flow or integrations which is native to Creator, the whole system becomes much easier. So that's what you can do with Creator in terms of your core systems, right? And Zoho is always very keen and very, very big on privacy. And that's exactly what we have in Creator as well, right? So you'll have full control over who's going to access your application, what can they see, right? All those nitty-gritty details can also be customized in terms of your governance controls in Creator, right? And then you have your last part, which is your extending systems. So extending systems are, of course, everything that you're going to build on Creator. Number one, obviously works across different devices, right? Across devices on web or mobile or tablet and all of that. But then what if you want to extend it beyond just Creator, right? Whether you need to bridge gaps between different functionalities or you want to create some tailor-made workflows or all of that, right? Creator can seamlessly integrate with your existing tools, and it can help you kind of extend the capabilities of your platform as well. Let's say you have an order management system, right? And imagine your sales and operation teams are probably managing it in a custom built order management system in Creator. Now, when an order is confirmed, instead of manually generating invoices, Creator can automatically push that order data into an accounting system. Here, let's say into Zoho Books for a reason, right? So here now an invoice is automatically generated and it's sent to the customer. So this whole process, creation of order, invoice creation, and the financial record keeping is becoming streamlined, right? So this is not just limited to Zoho products itself. Let's say you're using a third-party accounting software instead of Zoho Books. Creator can integrate it via REST APIs or webhooks and to push these invoices over there as well. Similarly, let's say if your inventory is managed in an external system like an SAP, Creator can pull the stock data from there to prevent overselling or sync your order details for proper fulfillment, right? So these are what you can do on Creator in terms of your extensions or extending the capabilities. So like I said, there are 4 major pillars of Creator, which is your core systems, your internal tools, your portals, and your extending systems. So these are the things that you can build. So our basics in terms of what you can build is kind of covered, right? Now, let us go into a bit of understanding the evolution of application development before we delve into the AI bit, right? So how, or like what's been the journey so far in terms of application development, right? Where it started was traditional development. It's all about manual coding and required to write lines of codes, right? It's not just about manual coding, it's also about being specifically skilled in a particular language, right? In those days, in fact, the more number of languages you knew or the more stronger you were at multiple languages, the more it was you were in demand as a developer, right? So that's what kind of made you a differentiator in the market. Then what happened is slowly the low code scene came into picture, right? So it became more about dragging and dropping components. It became more about how you're placing your logic, how you're kind of bridging the knowledge that you have across multiple languages that you have and kind of, play it along with low code platforms, right? And this is where here we are today, right? We're at the AI-led LCAD or AI-led low code application development scene, where AI does most of the heavy lifting, right? So like Janaki mentioned in the beginning, AI is everywhere right now. And I mean, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but this is a change and we have to kind of ease into it, that this is how it's going to be in almost every part of our lives, right? Like ChatGPT has been such an integral part of most of our lives right now. We use it for, like, the other day, somebody was telling me that they were actually using ChatGPT to kind of understand what was exactly happening to them in terms of health diagnosis. Do not recommend it. It's like just how people used to do it with Google. But that's the extent of the dependency we have on AI these days. And it's not really different in terms of the development space as well, right? It's kind of so ingrained that now it is up to us to learn how to kind of navigate the space with AI as a partner. So even in the development space, AI is in this space with the low code application development platform, right? Where AI does most of the heavy lifting. So the crux of it within Creator is to turn your ideas into apps, which is instantly. So that's what the AI is all about. AI capability in Creator can be broadly divided into 2 parts, right? The first part is AI assisted application development, and the second part would be your AI infused apps, right? So one is AI assisted application development, where you're going to be building applications smartly or intelligently. And the second part is AI infused applications, where AI will be a part of your application itself, like smart applications or intelligent applications for that matter. Cool. So here is where we have our AI assisted application, right? So in AI assisted app development, these are the major components that we are providing as of today within Creator. So the first part would be your app generation, right? Generating an application, the whole experience itself is just done as the simple prompt, right? That's just about it. It's become super easy. And this app generation can be done not just with text prompt, but we also support multi-modal input. So let's say you have a BRD document, or let's say you have a flow chart. You can just upload them, right? And you'll have an application that will be generated based on the files that you have inputted. Number third is your data modeling. Data modeling. So what are the forms that you have? Like from a creator point of view, the forms and fields that will be a part of your application will be shown in terms of tabular column. From a more general application development platform, it will show you what are the values that you have, how is your table structured, right? What are the different interlinking, the data inputs that you're going to have. All of that will be shown in a tabular format automatically with just the first step, that is your prompt itself, right? Then we have code generation and also code optimization. So you can now go to Deluge editor within your Creator application, and you can ask Zia to kind of give you a code for whatever use case it is that you have. So you can just give a prompt over there and you'll get a code. You can copy and paste the code in your code editor, and then you can go about saving your particular workflow. You can also optimize codes. Let's say you have a really long code, or you just feel like there is scope for it to become better, but you're not exactly sure how to go about it. You can also optimize the code by giving a similar prompt within the Ask Zia panel. You just give like optimize this code, enter the code, and it'll have the optimized code in your Zia itself, right? And then you have form generation and field suggestion as well. So it's not just applications that you can generate right now. You can also generate a form with the help of AI, which is basically with your prompting, and it'll also suggest fields based on the prompt that you've given. Right, so you already have some fields ready, but it'll also suggest the fields what you want, what you don't have to have. You can just like scroll through, browse through it, and choose and do what you want to. So this whole experience kind of reduces the amount of time that you're going to be doing in setting up your basics, right? In fact, Creator has always been about that, right? Setting up your prototype or your MVP is much faster than before. And it is much more easier right now because you get to focus on the logic. And that's the most important thing of any application, right? So this is your AI assisted app development part. And there is one another kind of cool thing that we have right now where you must know if you're an experienced creator user that you can't really build applications on phone. We still don't entirely support creation of applications on mobile phone, but with the onset of Zia, what you can do is, I'm just going to share this particular video, right? So you can create applications on your phone itself. So you can give a voice prompt, right? Or you can just type and you will have an application generated within your mobile phone as well. You can't edit that application. Like I said, it's not something that we entirely support, but just that basic setup, right? To have an application ready on your phone is something that we currently have. So you can just try it out if you probably have your Creator app and just see how it works. If it's not enabled, we'll figure it out and see how we can do it. But this is something that we're currently offering, right? So here you can see there's a dashboard, all your inputs, everything is available, all that with just a simple prompt, right? So these are the different aspects of AI assisted app development that we currently offer within Creator. Now, the next one that we have is intelligent applications or AI infused applications in Creator, right? For that, if you see what this is mainly about is nothing but your AI agents, right? So all these days, when we spoke about intelligent applications, we had different AI fields that we had in Creator, like prediction analysis or like sentiment analysis or keyword extraction, etc. But going on from now and in the future, we're looking at all of these under the section of AI agents, right? So you can either use the ready to use or pre-built agents, which is your OCR, your object detection, or your prediction analysis, right? Or you can also use custom agents. Custom agents are the ones that you're going to create and use with either just giving some sort of natural language instructions, or you can also do it with some custom AI model training. So we'll take a look into how these are in the demo sessions. All right. So I'm going to go over to my Creator application. Now we are in our app, right, within our Creator app. So let us see how each of these things work one by one. So the first step that I'll be doing today is app generation. Okay. So I'm going to create an application and we'll see how the applications come out. So one thing that I want you all to note is under Creator, if you go on the left panel under Manage, there's something called as Operations, right? So if you go under your Operations, we have this Zia option under Applications. So again, if I go to Zia, here you can see what exactly is the AI that I'm using for my particular application, right? This is where you'll be doing your settings. So I'm just going to Zia. It's a bit of a lag. I'm just going to refresh it once. So ideally, you can use either OpenAI or you can use Zoho LLM as well, right? So currently here, if you see, the AI vendor that I've chosen is OpenAI, right? And obviously, since I have a paid subscription, I have a passkey, and that's how I'm using it. And OpenAI lets you do most of these features. It gives you can create application, create form, next field suggestions, Deluge assistance, all of that. And it'll also show you who has the access control for each of these different features, which part of the Creator component does it come into, and all of that. Next, if I go to Zoho Gen AI, Zoho LLM, right here you have these are different aspects that you have. So create application, create form, next field suggestions. Deluge assistance or workflow is something that we're still working on. So currently it's not available on Zoho Gen AI, but you can still get the basic application ready. And this is free. So you can just like check it out in your account and see how it works, right? So OpenAI is what we're using for this demo. And it's obviously much more extensive in terms of what it can do, right? Obviously, because of the training of the models that's available. So let us take a look at a simple prompt and see how it works in OpenAI. Right, so I'm going to click on create solution, right? And I'm going to click on applications. And here, like you can see, create using Zia is where we'll be doing all the AI generated applications. The other three formats are our regular formats that we've had on this file, right? So I'm going to create using Zia. And so here you can see, right? I can either enter a text prompt, or I can also upload something. So here it will also show you what you can attach, right? It can be a PRD, a BRD, or an RFP, or process diagrams. It also has an upload limit, right? And now we'll start with the prompt first. So my prompt is to develop a candidate background verification application that streamlines the process of verifying candidates' backgrounds, including employment history, education, criminal records, and references. Cool. So I'm going to click on start building. So that's pretty much it, right? You just take a few seconds to load. So now if you see on the left, right, use cases have been generated for this particular prompt, right? So you can see that there is employment history verification, education verification, criminal record, reference verification, comprehensive background report. All these have been generated with just a simple prompt that I had given, right? You can also choose to add custom use cases if you feel like this use case is not extensive enough. You can also kind of regenerate these use cases if you feel like you need something else and you're not sure what exactly you want, right? So that flexibility is something that you can do in this stage. And now what's happening is the data model for this particular use case of this particular prompt is being generated, right? So a conceptual framework will ideally appear, and it will include the tables, the fields, the rows, and all of those details, so that you can see how your data is structured, what are the different forms that you have, right? And each table will be a header that can be the form's name, and it will have a list of fields, right? So all this information will be available in your screen, right? And this data model will let you view how each of the form application is connected, right? And based on the use case, and you can also add or remove the use cases. And as you add and remove your use cases, your data model on the right will also automatically update based on your input over here, right? So let us wait for the data model to generate. Like I said, ideally it doesn't take this long. I think today there's a bit of an internet issue, so I'm just going to wait until it gets generated, right? So while this gets generated, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to create another application with the same prompt itself, but through a different format, right? Here we have done a text-based prompt. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try and create one with just by uploading a particular image. So I'll be sharing this tab instead, okay? And I'm uploading an image that I have. So I'm going to my image. I have a flowchart. It's a hiring process flowchart. So I've just uploaded the flowchart and I'm going to click on start building. Okay. So let us see the output that we'll be achieving in over here. So here also you can see a similar setup is happening, right? So if you recollect in the previous tab, when I was showing you the use cases, here the heading was basically use cases, and you were able to generate or add custom use cases, right? But in this case, it only shows summary. The reason is because, and it also doesn't let you kind of add or generate other use cases, right? And hey Chandan, sure, I can share the flowchart with you over here. I can just probably, upload it here for your reference. So yes, I've shared the flowchart in the chat section, so you can just take a look at it. It's just something, as a placeholder, something we've been trying, but you can see how it works for sure, right? So the reason why you don't have an option to generate or to add custom prompts over here in this section is because documents like PRDs or BRDs or flowcharts are set, right? There is a reason why you have chalked out a document, which means you have a certain boundary within which you want your application to kind of work. So it did not make sense logically to give option to have regenerate from there, because then it kind of deviates from what you have originally thought of, which is why here it says summary and you have a set number of use cases and you do not have the option to regenerate or add more custom modules, right? So here you can see the data model is ready, right? Like I said, every table header would be your form, right? And the values inside the tables would be your field. So the mapping is automatically done. It also shows you how these values are connected with these small lines in between, right? So let's say interview, job offer, hiring process, all of them has this applicant as a field, and that field comes from applicant ID in the applicant form, right? So these kind of information you can see in this page itself, right? So the data modeling is done, and now I go and click on create application, right? So now what happens is your application is being created. So it will be first your application components, which is your forms, your fields, your reports, all the data through different report formats, your dashboards, your panels, and then your application layout will be first generated. The next thing is you'll also have permission sets created, right? Permission sets is what basically, in terms of who can access, who are the people who can access, what are their roles, right? What is the description of those roles? All that information will also be generated in this side, right? And then you will also have blueprints. So blueprints are basically how different information or data kind of flows in your application, right? So all, so kind of your workflow extension, right? So your blueprints will also be generated, and workflows will also be generated with this section, right? So whatever workflows that you have, that will also be done based on the prompt that you've given. Intelligently, the app will be able to come up with a few workflows. And then you will also, then after all of this is done, you'll be able to directly access the application in this page, right? So I'm going to click on access application, and your application is basically ready, right? So you have your dashboard. So all of this was just done with that hiring flowchart process. Hiring process flowchart, which I've of course uploaded in your in the chat that you can see, right? So there is a flowchart, there's a dashboard, right? Then there are different forms where you can add data, right? There's also sample data in terms of your reports, right? So multiple forms, just going through all of that. What are the information that you have? All of this is ready, right? Now, what else you can do? You can go to this application and you can see what are the different formats that you have, like permissions, workflows, blueprints, right? Here you will have a blueprint that is ready, it's enabled. So just see that all with a simple prompt, or just not even a prompt in this case, just a simple image, a flowchart, we have gotten this level of an application ready. So since you have this base ready, now it is up to you, right? You're as being the developer, being the person who is running this particular business, to kind of see what are the different fields that you need, how to go about editing them, right? What are the changes that you need from here? So since you have your base set up, it becomes much easier for you to kind of navigate this space, right? So you have your permissions, you have even portal permissions for that matter, right? All the permissions are also automatically created. So this is our application. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other tab, which we were doing earlier, the background verification tab. So here is something very cool that I would like for you all to kind of pay attention to in this particular form, right? So can you see here that there is this Zoho Recruit, connection? Right? I hope you can all see this Zoho Recruit connection over here, right? So in when your app components are being generated, right? And when you enter a prompt in Zia, it doesn't just generate an application, but it also looks for opportunities to kind of connect with other services, right? To integrate with other services. Like if your use case is suggesting that data needs to be pulled from another app, then automatically Zia will search for the supported services. In our case, if I'm not wrong, the supported services are CRM, recruit, projects, people, bug tracker, and the external services would be Salesforce and QuickBooks, right? And now here is where it gets even better. If your creator account already has an existing connection with any of these services, then the integration is just automatically available, right? By the time your application is just generated, your integration is also set up. You can literally go and open recruit and add some information here, and it will get reflected there because we have an existing active connection. So that's automatically available over here, right? So here is where you have the data model, right? Multiple tables, like I said, how they're all interlinked. This is obviously a bit more extensive prompt or use case when compared to our flow chart. So you have like information going across multiple ways, right? I click on create application. The same step as we saw on the last page, right? Your application components, which is your forms, your reports, your dashboards, and then you'll have your permissions that will be created, right? Be it both your user permissions and your portal permissions. And then you'll have your blueprints, your workflows. So all of those things will be getting created in this page, right? So now you'll have obviously a extensive dashboard and an application similar to what we saw. In fact, in the previous flowchart, it was a much more simpler process. Here you'll see a bit more extensive application or extensive dashboard, right? So now what we have seen two types of app generation, right? The first one is with prompt. That's what we're seeing here currently. And the second one is this one that we saw, which is using your a flowchart, right? Similarly, even let's say you have a BRD document, and if you upload that, that'll also work very well over here, right? So what else do we have that kind of elevates the whole creator system in terms of AI? It is your Deluge, right? Like I said, with Deluge, you can create and kind of codes, you can optimize code, you can do all of that. So let's see how that works, okay? So I'm going to, again, I'm going to take a prompt. So, but before Deluge creation, I'll also show you the simple form creation and field suggestion option as well. We'll just go over how that looks like. So here I'm going back to my, or maybe let's say I'm continuing to be in the same application, right? And I'm going to click on create a form. So how would you like to create your form? From scratch, imported data. I'm going to click on using Zia, right? Using Zia, I have a prompt ready. Create a feedback form for submitting candidate related feedback to the HR team, right? Click on create. So now it will ask for the field suggestions based on the prompt that you've given. So you can either uncheck something or you can just keep it as is. I'm going to keep it as is. Click on create form. Right? So now you can see you have different forms, the form and different fields available. You can also see here, if you click on this Zia icon, it will show you the different field suggestions based on the prompt that you've given. So maybe a feedback date, or maybe some problem solving skills rating, or maybe interviewer name, whatever is required for your feedback form can also be added over here, right? So this comes as part of your form generation and field suggestions. You can also like have different, or more field suggestions if you want by clicking on this button over here, which is going to be generating new suggestions for you, right? So we have seen all this. Now we'll take a look into our application for Deluge creation. So this is the candidate background verification application that we have created, right? So here, like I said, you have an active connection, which is Zoho Recruit, right? And here the dashboard looks pretty impressive, right? Because it's obviously a bit more advanced, right? And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on edit this application, okay? And I'm going to show you how the different parts. In fact, I think I did not even show the reports in this particular application because they're a bit more well advanced when compared to the other prompts that we've done so far. So if you see this application, can you see how you have these color coded data as well, right? So those of you who are familiar with Creative would know that to even do this color coding, you'll have to go to your report formatting and you'll have to come up with all the colors and all of that here, right? But here it's just automatically generated with just a simple prompt. So that's how extensive it is, right? You have different forms of reports, right? And similar process and all of that, right? You have different forms of reports, different information available, all candidates, app preferences, all of that is available over here. So now I'm going to this application and we'll see how the Deluge part of it works. Right. So now I'll be going to my workflows. Here you can see you have a Deluge script, right? You have a script already ready. Right. So here we have a particular Deluge script. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to have a separate code generated. So for that, I'm going to have a prompt ready. Okay. So I'm going to create a workflow. Right. And that is my idea is, for example, when a verification status has been marked as completed, I need to get the associated HR and send an email informing about the status of the candidate. Okay, so okay, I'm just trying this workflow out here. So here you can see on the right, you have this Zia icon, right? So I'm clicking on Zia, and here I'm going to give my prompt. So when the verification status has been marked as completed, fetch the associated HR and send an email informing them about the status of the candidate and also to proceed with the onboarding process. So click on send. Now based on this prompt, I'll have a code that comes up. And then I can paste it in my code editor and see how to go about it, right? So this is our Deluge code creation part, right? We have a code. The best part is it's not just about the code being generated. You also have inline comments. So you can see what each line of code is all about, right? For example, if you are somebody who's learning the ropes of Deluge, or you're still learning the whole world of programming, but you still understand logic, it will be very helpful for someone like you to understand what exactly is happening. Or let's say it's not even about that, right? If someone in a different part of your team who's a business owner, right, and you are the IT team, but they still want to know what exactly is happening, they can take a look at the application and say like, hey, but I think this is how the logic should change or something, and you can prompt also accordingly, right? So this is pretty much how it works. You can also optimize this code by just giving, for example, optimize this code and give that particular code over here, right? And just copy paste it, and the same thing will happen. It will go over it and see if something has to be changed or modified, and you'll get an optimized code as well. What we have seen so far is different types of application, AI assisted application development, right? Or app generation. The last or the second part or the last bit is your AI models, right? So I'm just going to share that as well. So the second bit is under your AI agents, we have, like I said, the custom agents, OCR, object detection, and prediction, right? So I'll just share how that works as well. So if you go to microservices, right? So far you've been playing around in the solutions part. Now under microservices, under AI models, you click on create new, right? And you click on AI models. So in AI models, you have all these different types: prediction, OCR, object detection, and AI skill. AI skill is nothing but AI agents. It's something that we're still working on as the beta version, which is why you see it as, AI skill. The name is still evolving, but it's fundamentally your AI agents where you can create agents for different parts of your application, right? So let's look at how maybe a custom AI model works like. For example, let's take a look at object detection. Let's say you want to create an object detection model. I'm going to show you how it works in the application first for you to get an idea about what's being done, right? So take a look at this particular form, right? Here is the fleet management application, and here is the raising a new service request form. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the damage evidence. So I'm going to click on my vehicle driver. I'm filling in all the details, right? And I am clicking on like repair and all of that, and I'm clicking on an evidence of the damage that's done to my vehicle. So I click on damage evidence, and I click on, let's say, a side mirror damage is my image, right? So if I click on that, automatically the damage part says side mirror, right? Or let's click on, let's say I'm going to choose a tail lamp image, right? If we click on that, automatically the damaged part says tail lamp. How does this work? This works with the help of custom AI models. So what do we do in custom AI models, right? You see the screen here. You have to basically go and click on object detection. Click on a model name. So let's say I want to create my model name as damaged vehicle part identification. Okay, this is my identify. So this is my model name. I'm going to click on create the model, right? Once I click on create model, you'll have to kind of give different information on what exactly you want the model to do. So you'll have to add images, you'll have to add all those details. So let's just see how it works. So create AI model. here you can see, right, add training data. So I have to add a minimum of 2 objects, right, and per model, and each object should have a minimum of 10 images. So these are the rules. So now I click on add new object. Let's say I'm adding a tail lamp image. Okay. And then under this, I'll have to add a minimum of 10 images, right? So consider I've already done this because it's going to take longer than 10 minutes at least, or longer than 5 minutes for the one model to get trained. Consider I've already uploaded 10 images, right, in varying angles. So custom models, like most of you would be aware of, is the how many, like how much ever you train the data, as good as, I mean, the more you train, the model works as better, right? It works as well as the number of training that you do to the particular model. So imagine I've added maybe 10 or 15 images of tail lamp in a car from different varying angles. I've also added another data, which is probably side mirror, and I've clicked pictures of side mirror from different angles across different cars, and I've uploaded it. So now the model will try to get trained and understand that if somebody uploads this image, this is what exactly it is, right? And then what happens is, I'm going to this page. So here, let's see, this is a model that we have already trained, right, for object detection. So the model has side mirror, silencer, tail lamp, all of that. And you can test this model or use the model to see its effectiveness, right? So let's say if I upload a particular model, it'll tell me, it'll be able to give me the object name, and it'll also give a confidence score. Confidence score depends on the number of images that you put. So the more you train, your confidence score kind of becomes better because it has enough data for it to understand intelligently what exactly is the image that you're uploading, right? And then you can use this model across whichever application that you need, whichever is contextual to your application. So like I showed you here, this is exactly what's happening. This particular application, I have this damaged evidence, right, as a field. How does this work? If you go to your edit application, again, just to show you how it exactly works, right? Damaged evidence is a field over here. So you have an image field, and then on the left, you have this object detection AI field, which you have to drag and drop. So it kind of works in tandem. You need to have an image field, and then you have to add the AI field for this whole operation to work, right? So this is an example of how AI models work in Creator. Now, the same thing goes for your OCR and your prediction analysis as well, right? I'm going to show you a video of OCR. Just take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. So here, right, this is a prediction model, sorry. So I've added a prediction field, right? And I have a trained a model already. So I've like chosen the model, right? There are dependent fields, goes over all of it, right? And then you click on a field as well, a field that will predict the amount or the historical data. You need to have a field for that. So add it, add your prediction data, click on done, then you access the application, right? So once you access the application, you can basically see permutation and combination of different field values will give you the output. It will be basically predicting whether a claim is fraud or not. How does this work? You give enough number of all these values and permutations and combinations, and then based on the data and analysis, it will come up with the factor whether the fraud is claim or not, right? So this is how your custom models work like. And this one is the vehicle image that I showed you, right? So the same thing, the same example that we went about. Just fast forwarding, right? So you basically upload different images, you get your output properly. So this is also something that you can do for different parts of your use case. You can also use OCR where you can upload different invoices. In the invoice, you can tag which field has to be what, and you can get that value also ready in your OCR model as well, right? So this is what we've had so far. And we also have something called as AI skills, or like I said, AI agents. So where it works is, let me show you how it works like in the application so that you have a better understanding of it. I'm going to take you to the application once. Okay. So here, if you see under microservices, right, under create new AI models, you have something called as AI skill, right? So here, basically, you'll be creating a skill and that will work independently. right? And you have to provide some instruction. So we have already created an AI skill for that matter, right? So what we have done is we have created an AI skill called suggest vendor. Okay. And there's something called as tools. Basically, once you give your AI skill, you have to give an input of what exactly you want your particular AI agent to act on. What is the kind of thing that you want your AI agent to act on, right? And then once you give that, you need to have different tools to get different information across your application for whatever performance you want your AI agent to do. So here, for example, there's something called as get vendor by ID. So if you take a look into this, right, I have my procurement application. There is a Deluge function, right, which is basically getting my vendor by ID. I have a description. I've gotten the information over here. Similarly, I have multiple things. So PR also something I needed, right? And then I also want news. So these two are within the application. And this third one, get news, is something that I'm getting from external source, just based on a location, right? So tool to get top headlines for the country. So just basically you're defining different tools. And once you have defined it, what is the expected outcome of this particular agent is to suggest a vendor based on different information that you have in your application to tell who is the best vendor for your use case. So here we have already executed this. So I'm just going to show you how it looks like. So if I click on view summary, right, select appropriate vendor request ID is given. So here you can see this AI skill would have gone over all the different vendors that we have already in our application. And in the end, it will tell you, right? So Bing Industries offers a balanced performance with strong growth and reliability, making it a viable option. So it's basically going through every single, AI, I mean, every single vendor you have. And based on different parameters, it will tell you who is the best vendor, right? So this level of creation with very minimal level of coding is something that you can now do on Creator. Again, AI agents is something that's still very new. It comes as part of our up and coming features. So this is just a preview of what we have so far in our system, right? It's just to give you a glimpse of what we have, right? You won't be able to access it for now. So in addition to all this, we also have something called as CoCreator last mile. This is somebody I think already asked this question, right? So now what you can do is once you have already like created an application, right? Let's say you have created an application. On the right side, you have the ZR developer console, right? So over here, you can just give prompt on what exactly you want to do today. So here it's written that I can see multiple vendors with the same email and I want to stop that. It's a very simple information they're giving in natural language itself, right? So then Zia will look into it and it will give you suggested actions, right? You have to add a work order field, to add like a stage, which is work order process in your blueprints. And it gives you a change summary as well on exactly what exactly has to be done or will have to be changed. And if you're okay with the changes suggested, you can click on apply changes and go ahead with it, right? The next thing that we are having is contextual intelligence, right? Right. So I'm showing the contextual intelligence that we have next, right? Where, so we saw today we can create code, we can optimize code with Deluge. In this case, it's not just that, you can also make changes to particular lines of code, right? If you want to just make changes in a particular code itself, code line itself, that can also be done with the help of the latest feature that we have, contextual intelligence, right? Then the same thing, right? You can just change the amount of that nitty-gritty level of context intelligence you can do, right? And then this is also something that we have done with our AI agents, right? So there's something called that we're working on called as ZR tasks or ZR Deluge tasks, right? So we'll already have some tasks that's ready. It's just that you can get simple information ready without even having to do anything. You just have to call that particular task and you'll have the output ready. In this case, you see this application, right? What's happening is we have a form and I'm uploading a file in this form. The moment I upload that invoice, all the values in that invoice, right, is automatically populated in all these different fields in the form, right? So it becomes that easy with the upcoming ZIA features that we're working on. And something very similar, right, which comes under AI agents again, is a content extraction. You're uploading a document, a contract, anything of that sort, right? Once you upload it, you just want to know a particular part of what's exactly happening in the document without having to go over the whole thing. So you give a prompt saying, asking something like who will take care of the reimbursable expenses, So the system or the AI basically goes through the contracts and it will give you the output of what's exactly happening where directly from the contract. Saves you a lot of time and it'll be easier to go over things similar to what we have in our GPTs and llamas and all of that, right? So apart from this, we're also working on visual workflow builder. All these while, I mean, workflow configuration in Creator, it's pretty fairly straightforward, right? You just have to like give different inputs. It works on field inputs and user input submissions and all of that. But now it's going to become much more easier because we're adding a visual layer to the whole thing, right? So you can basically see all of it in a flowchart level and set variables and email, but more visually. So it's going to be easier for people who are just getting started with, or for people who are veterans again, who are developers, pro seasoned developers like all of you, you can easily do the whole setup in terms of your workflow so that it kind of, like I said, brings down the time and you have room to do more projects and more activities, right? And we also have the Ask Dia capability that will be coming now in our mobile phones as well, right? Where you just can ask like Zia, like, summarize the number of open complaints, tickets, feedback, calculate the average resolution, etc. And based on your question, you'll be able to get the summary of whatever you have given, right? So these are the different features that we have up and coming, and that's what we have so far. So, yep, thank you so much.